Today, we are going to talk about how corporates mislead you about one of the most fundamental tools in modern life money. You may know by now that managers hate the dreaded S word, the salary. How a pizza party and a gift hamper beats having cash in hand. Or you might have seen these job postings mentioning, we are looking for someone passionate about the work, not the money, and that you should give 100% without any distractions, like family, for example. This discussion has already become a cliche. Many people, in fact, have already sensed that something about it doesn't add up. But instead of stopping at this feels wrong, we need to dig deeper and understand why this narrative exists in the first place. In the debut video of Antonomics, let's unpack the contradiction behind the claim that money isn't important. Before we answer the question whether money is important or not, let's step back and ask a basic question first. What is money? We know what currencies are. We use them every day. It could be the US dollar, the Indian rupee, the Chinese yuan, etc. etc. But underneath all of that, money is essentially a standardized proxy for value backed by trust, human trust. It represents the value you add to someone else's life, quantified in a way that can be exchanged, stored, and compared. Now, consider your job. You're paid because, in theory, you're adding value. Sometimes that value is obvious. It could be in a profession like teacher, firefighter, doctor, where the value added is very obvious. Sometimes it's indirect. In a corporate setting, for example, you might be adding value to an enterprise customer, a system, or ultimately a shareholder whom you probably will never meet in your life. But at its core, money is still just a proxy for the value that your time, skills, and energy add to other human lives. In the pursuit of money, or rather in the fear of not having enough of it, people often sacrifice far more value than they realize, and corporates understand this very well. They dangle money like a carrot while simultaneously telling you that money itself shouldn't matter, and they just extract the maximum value out of your lives. Let's get to the interesting question. Now, what's the benefit for businesses or corporations to preach that money isn't important? And before we go ahead, we need to speak about something actions or consequences. A manager increases an employee's workload. Let's take this example. That's the action. Now, where do the consequences land? If the employee refuses to work or walks away, the manager feels the consequence. This is the ideal scenario. However, let's say that due to certain life circumstances, the employee accepts this particular condition. Because money is treated casually or dismissed as not important, the consequences quietly shift. They fall on the employee. Now, let's say the employee doesn't bear the full consequences. So, who bears it? It's often the people who aren't even working or even in the company. It's coming in the form of missed doctor appointments, probably a father who misses his child's football match, a mother too exhausted to care for herself or her family, or a son or daughter unable to fulfill responsibilities towards their parents, siblings, or society. The system works because money is framed as something you shouldn't care about. Rather, loyalty is something you should care about. A natural consequence of this is that you ignore all the hidden value created by the people around you, which ultimately works more like a trickle up economy rather than a trickle down economy. Let's take a simple example to understand whatever we have discussed so far. Assume there are two companies, company X and company Y. X pays you 50 USD, let's say, and Y pays you slightly more at 60 USD. However, Y overworks you. As a result, your invisible costs start piling up. Health issues, daycare, hiring house helps, nannies, and cooks. And I've not even factored in rents and travel, assuming that both the offices are close by. You become dependent on these auxiliary services, and if a family member does this, suddenly they too are working on your behalf to pick up your slack. That is, while all household chores were previously fairly distributed, now one of the working members of the family has to bear all the costs. In most cases, this slight rise in pay doesn't justify long term costs and consequences. You quietly transferred your family's value and efforts to the company without even noticing it. This adds up much quicker at scale for the companies, which is why it's extremely profitable for them. In the real world, you probably end up with a lot more of these company Y's than the company X. So, the next time someone tells you that money isn't important, ask a simple question. If money is a proxy for value, then what is important? Shouldn't adding more value mean earning more money? And if money truly reflects value added, why do so many people pour disproportionate amounts of their value into organizations or corporations without ever being fairly compensated for it? In many cases, the cost is simply outsourced, sometimes to the employee's health, sometimes to their family, sometimes to invisible unpaid labor, like a spouse quietly carrying the weight of a household while value is extracted and poured elsewhere. None of this is accidental. It's how systems redistribute consequences while pretending money doesn't matter. This is the debut video of Antonomics. I hope that you liked it. And if you did like it, share your views in the comments. Like, subscribe, do whatever you want. But keep following this space for more such content in the future.